Who is buying Bitcoin? In his latest interview, one of the leading on-chain Bitcoin analysts, Willy Woo, identified two massive Bitcoin purchases that have taken place in the last 2 months. These purchases were both around $1 billion purchases, and it has not yet been revealed who or what institution has acquired such a large sum of Bitcoin. The obvious answer you would first jump to is that it was Michael Saylor acquiring more Bitcoin in his latest purchase. However, it was revealed on August 24th it was not, as Saylor only acquired $177 million worth of Bitcoin. So who are the culprits behind these massive Bitcoin purchases? Which institutions have joined the Bitcoin race? First up, here is Willy Woo in his latest interview done yesterday, speaking on finding these Bitcoin purchases on-chain. Make sure to stick around because I think I know who the companies are that made the purchases and why I think the purchases will be announced publicly in September. Also, only a small percentage of my viewers are actually subscribed. If you enjoy finance content, consider subscribing or liking the video. It's free and you can always change your mind.
Someone bought I'm just trying to look at my chart. Someone bought a big chunk in that lower $30,000 range. It looked like a fair chunk of $1 billion worth. And then someone else did it again. So I think there's a lot of unannounced buys and certainly the rumors. Rumorville amongst the people in the know, some of the journalists that I've talked to have talked about this, but no, I don't know names, but I've heard there's been major companies buying. I can see it on chain. Like there was 2 major buys, probably in the $1 billion class. One was in one was like 2 months ago when price was about $33,000. And then we had another chunk of buying on about 4 weeks ago as price started to really shoot upwards from that bottom. So yeah, there's been some significant buying, certainly. I'm interested to know who that is. If it's a public company, they'll have to divulge that. So September will be an interesting time when those third quarter reports come out.
So there's Willy Woo speaking on these 2 massive Bitcoin purchases. Now let's try and work out who it was. Now, just a disclaimer, this is all dubious speculation. It could have been anyone with $1 billion, but I believe there are some hints that point towards 2 buyers. The first culprit, I believe, was Peter Thiel and his company Palantir Technologies. For those that don't know Palantir, it is a US-based data analytics company who are on the cutting edge of innovation and are worth $50 billion. Why I think Palantir has acquired Bitcoin to their balance sheet is, first of all, they have $2.3 billion in cash currently on their balance sheet, and they recently made the move to start to acquire gold as a hedge against inflation. Palantir also currently accept Bitcoin as payment, so it would seem logical that they are looking to add Bitcoin as an asset. Additionally, back in May, the CFO actually hinted towards making a move on Bitcoin. When asked if they would add Bitcoin to their balance sheet, the CFO of Palantir had this to say. The short answer is yes, we're thinking about it and we've even discussed it internally. So if I had to guess, Palantir would be my main culprit. As for the second purchase, I believe it is Elon Musk and Tesla. Recently, back at the B-Word conference, Elon Musk confirmed that he was looking to resume Bitcoin payments for Tesla, and also that he was fed up with Tesla bleeding money in Europe via its negative interest rates. So those are my 2 guesses for who the purchases were, but at the end of the day, it could have been a number of high net worth individuals or institutions. However, if it was these 2 companies, it would provide a huge price catalyst we would see play out in September. Let me know in the comments if you agree, or if not, who you believe the mystery Bitcoin purchases were. Now, as for how high the Bitcoin price could go, here is Willy Woo speaking on his top cap model and also why he thinks this is the end of the Bitcoin 4-year cycle.
All I'm doing is reading the value of a particular model that I have that continually tracks the price over its entire history.
Yeah.
And that model gives you an upper bound of where price can go. And every past top of a bull market has hit that upper bound and dropped. So if you assume that we hit, you get a top of the market in a cycle, it was like between 300 and 400,000 was the projected upper band for December, and that keeps changing because as we get closer we get more price information. And now it's like, I haven't looked recently, but I think it's around 200,000 is where it might be the upper bound. But if you take into the context of this other on-chain data we have, it means that we're not going to have a market top, like a traditional cyclic market top where everything goes into a mania phase and everything runs up and then we have a blow off top and we come back down. We have this drunken walk. It's like the S&P 500. It just keeps wandering upwards.
Yeah.
So it can be in the midline. And so the price could be anything between two models that I have, if they hold. Models are models, they sometimes break. So the upper bound is like 200,000 plus, right? And then there's lower bound, which is, I think it's below the current price by significant amounts.
Wow.
But like the answer to this is that it means that let's not look at the upper bound anymore. Like, we're looking at the wrong thing. Everyone asked that question because at the end of this year is the expectation that's the top of this bull market and the end of this bullish cycle. If you remove the idea that we're going to have an end of this bull market like all the other cycles and we do this drunken wander, then this model doesn't really matter too much. And the idea of what is our price end of this year doesn't matter too much because people basically want to know when are they going to sell their coins and go to cash and wait out another year till this thing bottoms. And it's just interesting. It just means maybe you shouldn't be selling. Maybe like we should be like equity investors who just invest and wait for this thing to keep going up without trying to time this market. It's obviously worth timing the market if you're going to lose 80% of your value over the next year. But, we've just seen a pullback of, 50% pullback, and then it's recovered over 2 months. Like I can see a lot of these things happening, but that's not a bear market for Bitcoin. Mm-hmm. The bear market for Bitcoin is 80% and 6 to 12 months. It's the last of this. Like, if you look at the price chart over 12 years, we've had 3 prior cycles, and every one of those, it's done a huge run up, it's done a huge pullback, but retains most of its gain from the last cycle. And then it's done it again and again. The last one we went from below 200 or like 150 was the bottom, and it went to $20,000, and then it pulled back from $20,000. Imagine investing $20,000 and then like you come back to at the end of the year and it's like $3,200. Like, that was the last cycle. That was the previous cycle, and the ones before that was more carnage. And we waited like a year for that to purge itself. And I'm just saying that kind of experience is likely to not happen again if what I'm seeing plays out. And we just, so if we were to look back in like 10, 20 years time and we look at the price chart of Bitcoin, we go, look, there's 3 cycles, whoop, down, and then on the 4th time, it doesn't do that pattern. And it becomes like this drunken wander of price discovery as it finds its fair value as Bitcoin, spreads to 1 billion people or more, which is actually projected to do in the next 4 years.